Well, like the saying goes, ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Cue the music.
See, I haven't seen much of this yet, but here it is. I bought this, I don't know, end of June, I think. What is it? Beginning of August now. I think I've driven it 4 times, and I haven't driven it very far. As Bad Chad would say, this thing's cooler than dang it, and it is. But you know, I can't take the keister. I can't take it. It looks like a utility trailer on the back. It's hard to, these, negative. So I'm going to ditch that. That'll be damn near the first thing I've done. Actually, the first thing I did to this was, as bad as that is, the front bumper was worse. So actually, I didn't even drive it before I took the front bumper off. So that's all that utility, that's got to go. I do have, Amazon's amazing, you know. So one click on your old Scramazon, and 2 days and 30 some dollars later, you get a set of these. So these little doodads, they're not going to fit perfect because the fender's round and they're flat, but I'm really not concerned with that right now. But those are going to go somewhere right about there. I think on both sides. Actually, this side's going to dictate where they got to go because we got the big fuel knob here. Yeah, they're going to go somewhere in that vicinity there. And then all that's coming square off of there. So that's what we're going to do. It ain't going to be bad, but I'm going to have to extend the wiring on both sides because it comes to those lights and it's got to come to here. But I mean, that ain't no big whoop-de-doo. And it'll be easy to get at because all the wiring's just hanging down underneath here. That's the taillight wiring and stuff is all just hanging down under there. So the first thing I'm going to do is already had a look. The bumper brackets, they bolt to the frame. Then he's got other brackets that come up through the trunk floor. There's a lot of, the guy who built this car was an engineer. He couldn't really finish anything off worth a fat rat's ass, but he over-engineered pretty much everything that goes on here. Oh, except the trunk release. That is not over-engineered. Oh. Holy hell. Can you even see in there? So there's a few other things that got to happen, but I'm not doing them today. Believe it or not, that's exactly what you think it is. And why is it in here? And this is the fuel tank vent. When I bought this car, this was just laying there on the floor. And this, so this is just a choke cable that goes up inside the car. And he's got a pivot on that. And this piece here, when you pull that choke cable up here, if you can see when this, I mean, this latch is about 1/8 of what it needs to be. But when it's clicked over, this comes this away. So when you pull on that cable, that lever that I'm pointing at there, it sits right about here, and it pushes over and it releases that latch. I mean, could you get, like, that's like off of a tackle box or something. So that'll, I mean, look at the tiny little hardware and everything. This trunk lid weighs about 1,000 pounds, and that's what's doing the gig. And then it's just like, I mean, this is a chain link that he's cut the end off of, and it's welded to a plate. But somewhere in here is, shitting under the board. So I got to get, there is, on these brackets right there, there's 2 bolts underneath this pseudo trunk floor that we got here that I got to be able to get at. There's a body mount bolt. Well, I'm going to have to get into this a little bit. So I'm hoping that if I just blast on these bumper bolts here, that I don't know if there is bolts going through the floor. I think there is. But a lot of times when you're doing this kind of stuff, If you can hit something before it gets a chance to think, well, sometimes you can blast that nut off of there before the bolt on the other end even gets a chance to turn, like that just did. And that's why I like this little impact I got here, this little blue point guy, because this thing is, it's not big torque, but it's about 85,000 RPM. So sometimes, as long as it's not overly tight, this little bugger zings them things off of there before anybody even gets a chance to think. See what I'm saying? That's 3 out of, oh, there goes the old hat and the old microphone. Nice. So the alternative to that would have been having to figure out what goes on with the hunk of wood in the bottom of this thing. I wasn't looking forward to that. I wonder if it'll do it again. Because they didn't bring a wrench. Sweet baby jeebas. Another nice thing, though, is this car hasn't been together. Well, it's been together quite a while, but it's been sitting inside in a garage. So stuff isn't all rusty, and I mean, it ain't got no miles on it. Well, shit, these nuts, these nuts, can you see how shiny that is? Well, that's the rear bumper. I mean, that takes all the business back here when you're driving the car, right? Where's it going to get dirty? Well, at the back of the car, and it ain't. So, wow, it's like it's my birthday or something. Hoi! Everybody's a tight fit. Like all this guy's brackets and all his, the way everybody's held together, and like we got, what the hell is that? So that's a 1/2 inch bolt that's holding this together. And I think he's got them fed through 1/2 inch holes. Who does that? I don't. I guess that's what you get for if you hire an engineer and a machinist to build you a car. Your car's going to be built by a machinist. I don't know how heavy this is. These brackets are 1/4 inch plate. I don't want the thing to hit me on the noggin. I'm not real big on that. Now, I don't know what's holding this up. I just took all the bolts out. Oh. Yeah, like I'm saying, when everything's a pressure fit, but then you put some nuts and bolts in there just for safekeeping. And you know, I don't really like this bumper. I don't know if it's off a Volkswagen or what, but one of the worst parts about it is I wouldn't even be able to just take the lights off of it because he cut big holes in the back of the bumper for no reason whatsoever. So even once I take these garden implement lights off, these John Deere tail lights off of here, there's still big holes in the bumper. That's a thing though, hey? Go ahead and hit me, would you? So I'm in the garage, and this is where the fatty cakes and sketchy, this is where they eat and well, if this is smell-o-vision, you'd know what else is over here too, because Fatty Cakes just came over and just pounded one out, if you will. And she did. So I'm glad there's nothing going on back here but poor finish work, because I don't got a bumper to put back on this thing right now. I'm going to put a bumper on it, but it ain't getting one now. So we're just going to have the smooth bum. The Brazilian, is that a Brazilian bum? I don't even know. So there's our taillight wiring that we have left with the white ground. So that leads to a non-automotive background, using your ground for white. So there's a brown wire here that tees off into two green wires. There's our parking signal for the one side, and the same on that side. Alright, we're wired. Hey, we got parks, we got parks, we got parks. There's parks. This flasher, this would send anybody into an epileptic fit. I'm not sure if I can just swap the flasher out for another one though, because it's got 3 wires going to it. And I'm used to flashers with 2, so I'll have to look into that. But I mean, at least for right now. So this shows you how much nobody gives a shit about what they do nowadays. So there's the wires coming out of the back of the light. Now what are you supposed to do with that? It's a flush mount light. You see that? Like, how do you... I look at the wire spacing. So what do I got to do? I got to get an 1.5-inch hole saw, and I got to auger a great big hole in there. Like, why wouldn't all those wires, why wouldn't you have them all come out of one point on there? Instead of doing that, you bunch of arseholes. And the other light is kind of the same, but they even come out at different points on the back of the light. Oh, I mean, I'm holding it where you can see it. I can't just flush mount it on there because it's going to bend that, it'll guaranteed, it'll bugger up the wires at the thing, and my taillight's going to quit in a week. I mean, I guess for the amount of work that's got to be done to this thing, if I got to auger, if I got to put a hole to accommodate that in there, I can always weld it up again, because I'm going to be doing some welding and stuff on this thing in a few months' time anyways. I don't know. You bunch of... What a titmouse. So what I done here, I got some initial holes drilled. So basically, I just held my tail light up and stood back, and then I kind of looked off in the distance kind of thing. You know what I mean? Looked above it, see out of my peripheral to see where it looked good. So that's where I decided to look at. So then to duplicate that, you probably want to try to measure off the other side. You know what I mean? Measure from this side to that side to make sure you're the same. Well, nothing on the car's right. And the only thing I can come up with right at this point is something stupid. Like, I'm going to have to stack a little spacer there to space that taillight away from the fender so that there's room for the wires in behind. Because I'm not putting... I mean, this is... Which side is this? I don't know. One side, the wire's even further apart, so I'd have to have a whole lot bigger around. So I don't know that these are going to be the forever lights for this car. These were Amazon, and a couple of days, and they're here, and I don't even know if they were $30. So they're going to do it for this year, and then next year we'll see what bounces. But so this is kind of where we wind up. See what I mean? The wires don't want to. But I mean, that you get the gist. Hey, that's way better. So actually, I don't even know if this car will have LED lights in it, like come next year after I redo it. I kind of think these old cars like this, whether they're a custom jobby or not, they should have light bulbs in them. You know, with just a light bulb glow. But that's what we're doing for now. Now listen, mister. I didn't have my microphone on while I was recording this, so I don't even really know what I was saying here, but I'm definitely making a comparison from the new keister to the way it used to look. Hey, let's do a little recap. Huh? No. It's pretty damn cool. And that's coming from a GM guy, which I am. And you know what? I really do think that a lot of people, whether you're a Ford, GM, Dodge guy, It starts when you're young. I'm a GM guy because my dad was a GM guy. So, you know, it's just, you do it or he kicks your ass, right? But this thing is pretty damn cool. And as far as I'm concerned, in these old cars, and I said it before when I showed a quick video of this car before, I think that this is before of all the engineering and design buffoonery that Dodge does that really just makes me not like them very much. But yeah, I showed a quick look at this car before, shortly after I bought it. I don't even know if I had driven it yet then. I have driven it now, not a whole bunch still, probably about 4 times, and I think in that 4 times I probably haven't spent an hour in the car yet. But anyways, I thought I would we'd take a little better look at this old pooper here. You know, to just ramble on back and forth, there's a lot of people, and it's already even been mentioned about this car from somebody that I know, that just the comment was, well, you know, some guys like those bigger wheels. You know, it's not my thing, but it's you know, some people like that kind of stuff. To me, though, when I look at that car, and I look at that big keister, those wheels, they fill it out better. There is one of these cars in the town where I live in, and it's Yeller, and it's the same as this, and he has 15-inch Mopar rally wheels on it, and that's his thing. He likes them, and good on him. But to me, that bigger hoop fills that keister up better. That's an 18 on the back, and that's a 17 on the front. And really, on that car, that doesn't look like big wheels on the car. But yeah, that's a 17-inch wheel up there, and that big fat fender up there, that's a 17 up there. So yeah, 15s, they'd just be too small. But so anyways, I have had a chance to drive this thing a few times, and I got confidence in the car. It's, you know, when you first buy something, you don't really know. You didn't build it, and you don't know how well it's been built. But I got some confidence in this thing. There has been a couple of things. So I'm not sure what all goes on in there. I believe there's some adapters and a wheel spacer or two in there. And I think it might be giving a little bit of driveline vibration. And I don't know how concerned I am with it. I don't know, because I just think that rear end is probably just too narrow for that big booty. So it's probably got 1.5 inches, maybe, give or take. Adapters and spacers, I'm assuming. I don't really know. So I don't know how well this is showing up. I don't mind the wiring. That's just kind of there until the car comes apart. But that's a pip under there. That's pretty cool. That is, I discerned, actually what I figured was by looking at the gas cap, which is from a Jag, and that rear end is from a Jag. That gas cap was used on late 70s and early 80s Jags. So I assume that everything that's in this car that's Jaguar came out of the same car. So I'm guessing that's going to be a late 70s Jag independent rear end in there. And, you know, I've laid underneath this car and done some stuff, and let me tell you, putting that rear end in the car, that's not just like getting some spring perches, you know, welded in the right place to put your Chev 10-bolt rear end in there. There's some shit going on to put this diff underneath this car. There's some real fabrication and some welding and some cutting and some strutting going on under here. And from what I can see from looking at it, it looks to me like it was all done really well. Some stuff that doesn't really ring my bell on this car. I don't know how soon I'll be changing it. Oh. I mean, we got some interior work that's coming apart, but you see that guy? That's how you open the trunk. That's a choke cable, and you pull that choke cable, and back in there is a shitty little latch that it releases. I don't know about that either. What do you do about that? Yeah, some of the highfalutin upholstery work is it's coming apart. You know, but having said that, kudos to the guy who did it, because they'll like all this upholstery stuff with its gaps and its finely tuned corners and its radiuses and its peaks that work there, and then you just didn't even use the one side for a template for the other side. You made it completely different shapes, one side to the other. The dude did this all in his garage, so I mean, good on him for taking a whack at it. I'm going to be taking a different whack at it, but I mean, it makes the car drivable. It's livable for now. But yeah, this is, I think I showed a lot of this before. That's metal. He made that out of steel up there. Our wipers. does have a mirror in it. All that stuff, you know, it'd sure be nice to be able to maintain this original kind of stuff, but that's, I don't know what a guy would do with that. And you know, I don't think, I mean, I guess there is a possibility that, well, if a guy blasted that to clean that up, you know, I just don't know. Honestly, I envision me just welding a piece right across the dash, putting in my own, like I might put some of them, a set of them gauges in where it's got the two round gauges. One's got the speedometer, then the other one's got a tach and a gas gauge and a volts and a oil pressure and a fuel gauge, you know, and the two round gauges, the combination gauges. I kind of think I might do that. And then I'll punch a stereo into the dash there. Like I'm saying, if it has one solid panel over it. It would be nice to try to figure something out with the glove box. I haven't tried to get in there because we do still have a button and it pushes, but underneath here is a swing down, I don't know if I would call that a mess, but it's, I mean, it's pretty laid out. Obviously the guy didn't buy no painless wiring kit to do it, but everything in the car works. And you know what? And it's like, it's fuse blocks. These fuses I think are a little tougher to get nowadays. I don't know if this makes it worth rewiring the whole car, and I don't know if this is the kind of car that I would rewire the whole car. You know, I mean, it does have, like, it's got, it's real stuff he used. I don't know. To be discussed. This guy, it's not hooked up to nothing. I should probably just kind of maybe take it out for now. It does have a heater core and stuff in it, but it's not hooked to nothing, and it rattles like a bastard under here. Holy jumpins. But at this point, everybody works, nothing smells like hot wiring, and the car's been together for a few years. And I've driven a little bit, and it ain't blown no fuses, and everybody works. That's bad, too. We need one of these in here. So there's going to be one of those in here on account of, like the steering column. I think that's probably maybe where you used to put the key. I don't know. But I would say that this entire column is out of a Jag. So that's got to go. Same with this wheel. You know, and it's a funny thing. When I got this car, the fellow that I had it, he had a whole procedure for closing that door. And the window was off the track, so I took the panel off. And I done stuff to the window, and while I was in there, I just gave it a couple of and really all it's taken, I think, is just using it. You know, getting everybody moving again. Because you really did. You had to hold the handle at a certain angle, slam the door, and then release the handle for it to hold on. Otherwise, the first time that I drove it, I mean, the door wouldn't even stay closed. But now, I kind of showed this in here last time. Again, we got some stuff. I don't know where those wires go up there. There's odd, I mean, there's just stuff, you know, just stuff. There's a whole lot of, I mean, there's 7 extra feet of wiring here in this ignition system. And most of it's just 2 wires that are 4 feet too long, and just cut them and solder them and do that. But I think what I will, oh yeah, I never even noticed the tape on the coil wire. I think what I will wind up doing is I'll go to some sort of an electronic ignition in there. I've seen full-on distributors you can buy for these motors, or even just kits you can put inside. I don't know which way I'll go with it. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff like dig all that alternator bracketry. Are you looking at it? It kind of flutters a little bit, and I noticed that when it's running, that fuel pressure regulator is set at about 3.1 pounds, and I don't think that would be enough for a motor like this. I haven't experienced a heat issue with this thing yet. I know that in a lot of these hot rods, guys say that that they run hot. I even know a fella up the road, a friend of mine who has, I think his is a 40 Plymouth. His is a 4-door I don't know what you call them, a sedan, I guess. But it's hot rodded, and it is really hot rodded. His is hot rodded to the point of where it's got a stroke big block in it. And I've heard he complains about heat in his car, and I've heard other people too with these old hot rods say that, you know, they're nice to have, but they run too hot. But, you know, it's just about always in the same breath in those old hot rods is, well, it's got a 383 small block, or it's got a, again, like this other fellas, it's got a 440 stroked out to whatever, and it makes 400 and this many horsepower, or 390 that many horsepower, 500 pounds of torque, and boy, I'll just blow the tires right off it and everything. Well, horsepower makes heat. So I think that's one of their problems. I haven't experienced heat in this thing yet. There's not a ton of room for air to get in there, but it does have a good sized, a good thick, like a 4-core aluminum radiator in it. It's not a huge radiator, but it's thick. Aluminum dissipates heat well, and it's not a big 1,000 horsepower motor in it. I'm not sure. You know what? I've already. I don't know if this is going to be the beginning of the video or if this is going to be halfway through the video. I got an idea that this is going to be the beginning, and then I'll show you what I done to the bum here in a minute or so.
Wrong, bucko.